Last Sunday, I heard a sermon or meditation at our fellowship in our community, our church community. We call sermons meditations. Our pastor meditated on this text about grief, and grief was the topic. The gist of his talk was that we don't really know how to grieve as Christians, and sometimes we think it's even wrong as Christians to grieve. We might think it's unchristlike to grieve in light of the hope of resurrection or the hope of heaven or whatever. I don't know if I've ever been taught to deal with my pain. I think I've been taught to hide from my pain or pretend like my pain is not there and keep my happy face on. I'm not sure if that's just a Southern hospitality in the United States that I just grew accustomed to or what, but I'm trying to learn in my adulthood how to grieve. I've dealt with a lot of difficult things, especially this year. I think I'm grieving right now for a number of reasons. I feel, just the pain in my chest of just heartbreak and sadness for the people that I love that are hurting, for people that I've lost this year. It might just be a combination of things. This week is the first time I've been alone since I've been married. My wife is in Memphis with family, and I've been here. I miss her very much. And I think this might be the first time I've been able to just really have alone time since I've been married. I mean, extended alone time. And I'm guessing that this alone time has allowed for emotions to surface that I've maybe been trying to keep under. I think what we try to do with our emotions, you ever been at a pool party and like you have floaties and maybe somebody is trying to somehow put the floaty underwater. You ever tried to do that? You got this floaty and you're just trying to stuff the floaty underwater, but there's air in it. So of course you can't put it underwater. It's going to keep just jumping back up at you. And I think that's what I try to do with my emotions. I try to stuff it down and try to pretend like it's not there. And eventually it pops up, and sometimes it pops up. And the thing is about those floaties, the harder you try to push it down, the harder it kind of pushes back up at the surface of the water. And I think that's what I've been trying to do with my emotions. And I think this is why I'm just feeling the grunt of them right now. I'm sad. I'm sad about, for instance, Alechi Madu. This was a teenager that was in my youth group, and she passed away this year. And I didn't have time to really deal with that. I was close to her. I have a lot of pictures of her. I had a lot of videos with her. I was really close to her family. I think when I try to grieve, I try to just pretend like, I don't know, I'm an optimist by nature. So maybe I just try to picture that person in a better place, in a better state, and allow that to take away my pain and my grief. But the pain is still there. Even if this person is with God or experiencing bliss or experiencing a pain-free existence, I'm hurting, and I miss this individual. So I think it's okay for me to feel those pains that I've felt, and I think in the past I haven't been honest with myself about those things. I'm learning that pain is meant to be dealt with. It's not meant to be ignored, or sometimes I like to distract myself, make my schedule really busy so that I don't have to deal with my pain or my emotions or the reality of my life. But my life is still going to be there no matter how hard I try to keep myself busy and try to hide. So there's a couple things that my pastor shared about grief, and I want to share some of these things with you and process some of these ideas. Whew. Okay, so the thing about this, I took notes while my pastor was talking, but I can't really tell if some of these were his words or words that I made in light of what he said. So we'll just pretend like maybe these words are our words together. So one of my first thoughts was that, don't push down your pain or ignore it. Deal with your pain, sit with it, process it. And I've kind of touched on that already. We can't ignore our pain. We can't busy ourselves to the point of ignoring our hearts and what's going on with our hearts, because eventually it's going to come back up and manifest itself in ways that we may not be able to deal with, had we not dealt with it on the front end. Something else that I noticed was that those who love deeply grieve deeply. Man, I love my wife, which is probably why I miss her so much right now. And this time away has really showed me how much I care for her and how important she is to me. It's okay for me to be sad about that because I love her deeply. Maybe it would show that I don't love her if I didn't miss her, or if I wasn't grieved by her absence. And the same could be true about those that I've lost. Maybe even like Alechi, I'm grieving because I loved her and she was like family to me. Her family was like family to me. So of course there's pain here. It's okay to be sad about sad things. We grieve and we're sad when things are not as they should be. So anything in your life that is not as it should be, it's okay to be sad about that. I mean that is healthy. It's healthy for me to be sad about some things that are going on in the Middle East. It's healthy for me to be sad about people that are hungry in our country. It's healthy for me to be sad about my wife not being with me. I mean, these are all healthy things. I'm unhealthy if I'm not sad about things that are sad. It's okay to be sad about things that are sad. When things are not as they ought to be, it's healthy to be sad about it. And that's really freeing for me. And just recognizing that it's okay to be sad in the first place. Like, I don't know if I've ever been taught that. Whenever I've been sad, I've had people trying to bring me back to this positive state. Just like I can be in a positive state and in a happy state, I can also be in a sad state. Sometimes it's okay to just be sad and not have answers and not really know what's going on with life. It is faithful to grieve. Those with faith grieve. And I think what my pastor argued is something that I'm arguing too. I think if anyone grieves on this earth, it should be Christians. Christians above all should be like master grievers because we know that things are not as they ought to be. Of course, we're not the only ones that know this, but through the resurrection and through the hope of a new heaven and a new earth and a new Jerusalem, Christians know that things are not as they ought to be. And because of that, we can grieve. And my pastor brought up Jesus and the Lazarus story, and I believe it's Luke 11. No, Lazarus dies, and Jesus finds out, and Jesus weeps. And I've heard that text kind of addressed in the past, and I don't know if pastors have done a good job or preachers have done a good job at addressing that, but Jesus wept because he was sad. And I think part of what he was dealing with was recognizing that things are not as they ought to be. Yeah, sure, Jesus knew that he was going to resurrect Lazarus and bring him back to life. There is still sadness. Just because you have the means to heal someone or to help someone doesn't mean that you're not sad about their pain and what they're going through or what they're experiencing. Grief is a part of what it means to be a Christian. And then the last thing I have is something I've already said is that when things are not as they should be, of course we grieve. That's the line that I want to coin and just leave with you. If you don't take anything else from this video, I hope that you can get this. When things are not as they should be, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. And that's something I'm trying to embrace. And I've been fighting back tears, because I've never really been a big crier, but I'm thinking that maybe, crying is something healthy because it's a way of maybe releasing that pain. So I don't know, maybe after I finish this, I'm at the cry. I'm not going to cry in front of a camera. I don't think I can do that, but man, I'm really just trying to open up my heart, my mind to all of my emotions, not just my happiness and my joy, and not just the beauty, but the pain and the darkness and the sadness. And this is what it means to be human. And what it means to be Christian is to live into our humanity in the best way possible. To be a whole human, a healing human, a healer human. So I think this is all I have to share on this topic. I'm really grateful no one has walked by since I've been recording it. I'm pretty sure someone's looking at me, but hey. But thank you so much for hearing me out as I'm trying to process Christian sadness and Christian grieving. And I'm grateful for my pastor. I'm going to post the link to his meditation below so you can check that out. And I know that you might be blessed by it if you want to hear some words on grief. I think he used 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 to talk about grief, along with another passage or a couple of passages, a number of passages he used. I just pray God's blessings over your sadness and your grieving journey. I pray that you can sit with your sadness. I pray that you can experience grief and be okay with all of it.
This moment is all I have. This moment is all I need. Just breathe.